Welcome back to the Friday Night Armistice. And with Tony Blair in America, the question is, how will he stop everyone in the cabinet fighting each other while he's away? And the answer is, at the first sign of trouble in Britain, Blair will be beeped on his Mothercare cabinet alarm, which will notify him if there's a cabinet dispute or if he can hear John Prescott gurgling. Meanwhile, as tension mounts in the Gulf, Gordon Brown announced deep cuts in defence spending, which means that ready to fly out to Iraq is our new squadron of no-frills EasyJet Harriers. There they are. Able to fly to Baghdad for £29. Although to take off, you do have to go to an aircraft carrier out at Luton. And as the Benson and Hedges Snooker Masters tournament draws to a close all over our Sunday night repeat, the League of Tobacco Companies have come up with one way of getting round the imminent ban on tobacco sponsorship by showing no more advertising in return for insisting that the competitors play with 4-foot-long cigarettes. And, there you are, you can see Stephen Hendry potting the red in off the Rothman. And finally, as the government still struggles to keep its NHS waiting lists down, there's a suspicion they might have paid one of the doctors in BBC's Casualty to free up hospital beds by any means possible.
He's semi-conscious. He needs a large bore cannula.
All right, forget it. I think we better leave it. I've told you. The anaesthetist won't do it. I'm sorry.
Keep it for 15.
Well, I'm a bit busy, I'm afraid. OK, he's dead. 23:15. I'll fill in the mortuary forms later.
Now, we've got some great stuff here. It's the final report from the Millennium Dome's key consultant, an 8-year-old boy called Christian, who was chosen because he's a typical average son of an Islington design consultant. Now, here's some of the ideas. I don't know if you saw these in the paper. And there's a huge inflatable man holding his head in his hand there. There's aliens give you autographs, all sorts of interesting things. I mean, they're no better, no worse than Mandelson's ideas, but I won't be going, and I'll tell you why. Because he's also designed the electrics. There's a picture of that. So I'm sticking, well, 1 billion volts and one plug.
He's also actually, it's true, he's got commissioned by politicians as well to work for them, and he's come up with a hall of mirrors in Parliament to make it look like there are more Tory MPs than there really are. The thing is, it's all very well having an 8-year-old boy, you know, design the dome and put all the things that he likes now in it. But the trouble is, by the time it opens, he's going to be 11. He's going to be walking around and going, this is really boring. I want a fag. What's for the girls? So it's this thing you said the girls had to be in a dungeon.
I said, well, it has been another quiet week for Richard Branson, the reclusive self-publicist. Richard Branson is, of course, the man who wants to run the lottery as a non-profit-making organisation, a bit like his trains. As a result of the libel trial, Peter Davis has stepped down as the lottery regulator, and Branson himself announced that if he'd lost the libel case, he would have stood down from his position as a grinning, bearded, holier-than-thou balloonosexual.
Of course, the whole case hinged on the fact that Snowden offered Branson a bribe at a private lunch, forgetting that Branson, being an open, straightforward, honest kind of businessman, would run off to the toilet, write everything he said down in a book and read it out on Panorama. Now, we've actually got a clip of that. Here's the Panorama clip, there's the book, and they're the words that Branson wrote down in the toilet. So if we home in on that now, we can see it is in the toilet. I don't know how to phrase this. There is always a bottom line. And I'll get to the point. Oh, better out than in. Oh. I mean, what can I do for you personally? Plop. Everybody needs something.
What's that one there? What does that say? Must sell off my colour, it's crap.
Oh, that thing up there, up in the corner there. Let's just have a look at that. Beard, try for one more week. The corner off the paper there, what's that for? Oh, no, because he's in the toilet. Yeah. I thought he had someone paid to lick his arse, but never mind. What else have we got? Yep. Ring Exchange and Mark Rees, some more old trains. Now, Richard Branson, I think, is missing the point, though, on this whole lottery business, because on the one hand, he's all upset about being bribed. And on the other, he wants to run the lottery, an organisation that twice a week says to everyone in Britain, look, just play the game, give us a quid, and there might just be £7.5 million in it for you.
Well, that's right. We have a man with us tonight who is richer to the region of £300,000 thanks to the lottery. There he is. Now, he wants to remain anonymous, hence the balaclava. But how does it feel?
Well, it feels great. It's not going to change me.
It's not going to change
no,
at all, really?
I'm just going to carry on as I was.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. Well, thanks very much, sacked lottery regulator Peter Davis there. Until Wednesday, he ran off-lot, which is now being replaced by a regulator of lottery regulators called off-off-lot.
So what on earth made the jury find in favour of the Virgin Man? Guy Snowden, now, he's the baddie, said it would be impossible to win a case against Branson, and we can see why if we look at a reconstruction of the jury box. Here it is. Each jury member had a little television where they could watch a choice of 2-year-old films or play games. We can't show you it, actually, because it's broken. They also get a Virgin goodie bag complete with earplugs and eye masks, just to help them concentrate when the other side is putting its case. And they get this complimentary Branson magazine, which is full of compliments about Richard Branson. It's called Hi, I'm Richard, and there's lots of interesting articles about how he's been wronged by every major corporation on this goddamn planet.
Now, this weekend, the Five Nations Rugby Championships start, and for the first time, Sky Television beat off the BBC for exclusive rights to England's home matches. On these occasions, the BBC will be fighting back with the ultimate crowd pleaser, commentary from Bill McLaren over pictures from the Teletubbies. So let's go over now to Tubby Twickers to see the build-up to the Wales v Lala match.
And from our commentary position here, this magnificent stadium, for this 99th instalment of Scotland versus Wales. But down there on the pitch, as the Welsh team take the field, they're going to find the pitch dry and holding. And there, Ian Evans, what a delight to see him back in action after his ankle damage earlier on. There, Derwin Jones, all 6 feet 10 of him, and taking his part in the little team talk just before the line.
We'll go back to the Teletubby rugby in a few minutes as soon as the referee blows his whistle for kick-off, or it-off.
Now, William Hague, of course, has set out to turn the Conservative Party's fortunes around and put them back in the public eye. And he did. He got himself into The Guardian this week. This is true. I just got a very good, sighting of him. It's on... Well, basically, on page 8, you've got sort of Bill Clinton and Tony Blair strutting the world stage with the most powerful man in the world. But opposite, on page 9, you've got a picture of William Hague in front of a sign saying, "Stop the Stevenage expansion."
Clinton is probably feeling, that he's got away with it. The scandal's dying down, he can finally get on with the issues. Well, Bill, I'm afraid you can't, because we've seen a new piece of video evidence that proves once and for all that Bill Clinton is a liar. You see, his pants are on fire. Oh, yes. Now, Blair and Clinton were, of course, meeting to talk about Iraq, because Saddam is still not letting the UN inspectors have a look at his weapon sites, and they've had to give up, basically. So who do you get to go into situations where no one else dares? Well, of course, it's Hello Magazine. There you can see Saddam invites Hello readers into his stunning new biological warfare plant.
I think it's only reasonable, really, what Clinton and Blair are saying. There does have to be a war, because otherwise, how else is America going to test 7 years of new weapons? A lot of them are ace. Now, this time, apparently, they've got a weapon so smart that it realises the futility of war. And it's prepared to go to prison for its beliefs.
Harman's come up with a new weapon, actually. It's a missile that literally targets the disabled and single mothers.
they've got some missiles that are so smart now. What they've done, these missiles, they've copied the SAS, and they've actually got book deals. So there's a cruise missile, it's called SS-17295, and at the moment it's at the top of the bestsellers list with SS-17295, It's True Story. It's currently doing a guided book tour of the UK. There it goes. Down lots of streets. It's a heat-seeking signing, so it's no trouble finding the venue. Good turnout of ground-to-air fans tonight. And into Dillon's, there we go.
The interesting thing about the Iraq crisis is that it's Labour's first war, or as they're calling it, the Gulf Experience. So over here is Blair's bunker, and as you can see, there are two hotlines here. This one is so that Tony Blair can keep in contact with the Americans and their commander-in-chief. That's Hillary Clinton. And the other one is a direct line into Iraqi television so that Peter Mandelson can ring them up and bollock them for not putting Labour's point of view across. Now, meanwhile, down here, 50 miles from the Iraqi coast, Blair has stationed our naval forces, which we can see more clearly if we just shove these American ships out the way. There you are. That's them there. These are our two naval destroyers, HMS Internet and HMS the Full Monty.
Now, at the brink of war, these missiles will be launched into Iraqi airspace over Iraq and into Iran, where they will land carefully at the Tehran's weapons fair and sold, thus securing another 1,000 jobs at Barrow-in-Furness.
Thank you, Barrow fans. Meanwhile, Tony Blair is fully aware that Britain could be a target for Iraqi-backed military or terrorist attacks. So he'll be taking a leaf from Saddam's book and using human shields. So Ken Livingstone will be chained to the side of Buckingham Palace. Claire Short will be strapped to Aldershot Barracks. And Harriet Harman here will be dropped into Iraq with an Israeli passport.
Now, we've all seen the scenes on the streets of Baghdad as the masses shout their support for Saddam, and Blair's very keen to answer back. He's determined to quash the rumour that no one in Britain gives a flying toss about his aggressive stance, as we can see from this hastily prepared government video.
Are you worried your husband will have to go to Iraq?
It worries me not that my husband will fight in Iraq. His sacrifice will be a beautiful one.
Given a chance, will you fight Saddam?
My shirt used to be white, but Saddam put a towel in my wash, and now it's pink.
Go out fighting.
Well, you're watching a good film on ITV. It is interrupted by the news at 10, which is often made longer by an article about Iraq. Curse upon him.
Will you fight Saddam?
No.
Saddam wipes his arse with dying cats. Now will you fight him?
Yes.
Yeah?
I'm not willing to pay more income tax to Tony Blair, but I'm ready and willing to get my brains blown out from in a desert.
OK, it's time to go back down to the Teletubby Rugby and Bill McLaren. The match is about to start and the crowd are singing E.O. Sweet Chariot.
Let's get ready to get the game started. 22. Once again, a change in line-out procedure. The front men are three, and the one man at the back, Derwin Jones. Good tackle by Campbell. The referee has ordered the scrummage. And it's all about scrummaging technique down there. Good firm footing. Gregor Townsend with the restart. Gareth Llewellyn up and thumping on again. Jones, Jenkins, Davies. Lewis battering on. Pick up by Robert Jones. It's a try for Wales.
Right, well, we've got to leave it there, I'm afraid, because we've just had someone's bitten Lala's ear off and drawn blood from an actor's face. Now, as soon as Labour came into office, they launched 40 task forces to look into major issues so that they could be seen to hit the ground sitting at a desk. Now, very soon we're going to get reports back from the drug czar, the pensions Rasputin, the maths Mussolini, the parking bugger, the immigration Motson, the opera sniper, and the care in the community Jeffrey Boycott. And what all these reports are likely to say is, Dunno. So the next phase in Labour's plan is to start finding people to pin the blame on if things go badly, which is why they've set up their blame unit, which will start publishing this. It's Labour's quarterly blame figures. It basically shows who's to get the blame and who's to get the credit at any one time. So, just to show you, we start off with education here. Now, David Blunkett, in the first year, will take the credit for the brilliant way he published last year's improved exam results. But by the second year, if things carry on improving, it will cross this, which is the Blair line. If anything gets above this level of being quite good, then Tony Blair automatically steps in to take credit. On to the economy. Now, they've inherited good figures from the Tories, which Gordon Brown is happy to take credit for in the first year, until the economy starts to slow down. So over the next 12 months, the blame will gradually be apportioned to Margaret Thatcher, and then finally, Harold Macmillan. At which point, Brown will start pumping billions into getting himself back into credit, although he'll be careful to keep it just below the Blair line. And finally, with the NHS, they've given up on this altogether. It'll remain in a state of permanent blame throughout this Parliament, culminating in 3 years' time with Labour blaming Clement Attlee for inventing the NHS in the first place. Now, by this stage, in 2001, there'll be demands to come up with a decent minimum wage and pressure on the Scottish Parliament to put up taxes, which is why, at that point, Labour will divert funds into building an enormous fan by the Thames for all the shit that's going to hit it. There it is there. They said they were going to build a Ferris wheel, but now we know. And as we can see on the blame chart, as everything goes into freefall just before the general election, there is another secret weapon up Labour's sleeve, as the blame for everything gets put on Harriet Harman.
And the last couple of days, shares have hit an all-time high, though experts think that next week they'll probably hit an all-time low. The whole of the world's finances seem to be on a wild roller coaster ride based only on flimsy rumours in the stock markets. So we thought it would be fun to see if we could spread one ourselves. We chose coffee and gave ourselves one day to see if we could send its share price so low it could lay cable. We began at the Life building in St Catherine's Docks, where they trade in coffee.
Right, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm outside Life, which is a big trading floor in London. I'm going to try and break in there. I've disguised myself. I've got a pass. This is mostly artificial. I've got the hat. So I'm going to go in as a cleaner. Stir up a bit of trouble. Let's see. Morning. Come to clean.
We're in, armed with a bundle of newspapers with made-up headlines to put the rumour cat amongst the coffee pigeons. 7:05, Peter goes to work. City reacts to coffee scare. Nice start. What's that? A cupboard at the back full of traders' jackets. They might come in handy. We thieved a couple. TV Centre.
We're here on the set of Working Lunch, the BBC's trusted business programme, but also frankly very corruptible. And they've agreed to do us a favour. The presenter, Adam Shaw's going to do something for us.
In exchange for a bottle of Liebfraumilch and 2 tickets to Lord of the Dance, they agreed to make us a video that would terrify the market.
It really is the coffee market which is attracting most interest today, and in fact we've seen amateur video footage purporting to show the coffee advertising star Sherry Lungi snorting neat granules in an attempt to achieve the ultimate caffeine high. Well, just how seriously the market thinks this will affect consumer confidence remains to be seen.
Lunchtime in the pub opposite the trading floor. Time to spread some rumours as loudly as possible.
Now it's going down again. The coffee's going right down.
It's gone right down.
This thing on Business Breakfast this morning about about this cloning of coffee beans.
Cloning of coffee beans?
Yeah,
so what, that means that...
Well, they can clone coffee beans.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the Dolly the Bean scandal. They can...
Yeah. So that footage where they'd strapped a coffee bean to the back of a mouse.
What, so they could grow coffee on the back of mice?
Yeah.
So basically, anybody can make coffee.
Anybody can. You can make it in the house if you have a pet.
Well, that's just going to drive the price down.
1:20 p.m. I arrive at another city pub with my tape and slip the landlord a fiver.
And in fact, we've seen amateur video footage
coffee. I don't know what it's going to do for coffee, but,
star Sherry Lungi snorting wheat granules, demonstrating the ultimate caffeine high.
Sherry Lungi sniffs it up our nose.
Thinks this will affect confidence.
Phase 2 of the plan. If you want people to panic, tell them not to worry. We staged a demonstration.
Don't believe the rumours. Don't panic. Buy coffee now. Support the coffee growers.
Free coffee. Please, please take some coffee. Sir, do you want some coffee? It's free. I can't give it. No one wants it. Someone take some of this black piss oil.
Phase 3, the Brazilians.
Excuse me, I lost my money in the Brazilian coffee crisis.
We send in 3 Brazilian males in a highly emotional state.
London Exchange Market. El café. ¿Qué tal yo con el café? Coño, no hables de café, Lo sé. O diablo. Mira, Silvia aceptan ahora el café. Me pidieron que invirtiera en Microsoft y a 75. 75. Todo. Voy en Microsoft, no. Café, café, café.
7:50 p.m, the final assault. We decided to try and use the jackets and went back to the trading floor, posing as visitors. They were certainly confused. Just time to nip back to Newsnight to hijack an interview in order to put a final stake through coffee's heart.
What do you make of Peter Mandelson describing the broadcasting authorities as being arrogant to think that they could come between politicians and the people?
You could inject an element of soap opera into it, because politics at the moment is very much soap opera based. You should bring in the gold blend couple and yeah, but that's, I'm talking about this because the price of coffee has fallen through the floor. Abroad, Tony Blair is calling Saddam a dictator, and at home, the Agriculture Secretary, Jack Cunningham, is calling tradesmen defying the beef and the bone ban butchers. Now, you can tell that the butchers resent Jack Cunningham, because this is what a typical butcher's shop looks like. Each one of them has one of these, which is a diagram showing Jack Cunningham's choice cuts. Following the visit of Cunningham's food safety inspectors, the butchers have reassured the public that they can now offer safe and delicious meat products such as these food inspectors' faces.
Now, a lot of people are very worried about appalling food safety standards, irresponsible farming, chronic pollution and the terrifying reality of global warming. The moaning loonies.
But it has been so bitterly mild this winter that the Winter Olympics in Japan are in big trouble, as you can see from this footage of a practice session for the ice skating. That's 100 metres downhill, sand.
I'm glad you mentioned Japan, darling, because last year, thank God, after centuries of blind desecration of the planet, man finally stood up and said, enough. It's time for a 5-day conference. Do you require car rental? All the world leaders went to Kyoto in Japan for a raw fish buffet, and while they were there, they came up with the answers to all of the world's problems, which they printed up on this handy card.
Let's take a problem and see what the Kyoto Agreement says. Now, the problem is all the Earth's coal and oil are going to run out in the next 100 years. But here's the solution at number 12, which is that constant renewable energy can be supplied by a dynamo in Brazil driven by a giant bicycle chain round the Earth and the Moon.
Ooh, my city's covered in smog. Lighten up, for God's sake. Here's the solution. It's a smog snorkel. Basically, you can breathe clean air through this from the crap at the top, and it's doubly useful because you can use it when there's a massive rise in sea level and the flood doth come.
Next problem, the poisoning of the global population by bizarre drug-infested rotting matter, or food, as it's known commercially. Here's the Kyoto solution. It's clean, it's tasty, it's the first chicken to be born oven-ready. You can see here, it emerges from the hen as an egg stuffed with an onion, wrapped in a cellophane membrane, resting on a tiny polystyrene giblet. Now, what happens is, this is kept in the dark, And after about 3 months, it looks like this. A large egg with legs. You can see here the ass grows round the onion, and there are the first traces of a rasher on its back. And finally, it hatches into this. A succulent, bald, streaky-backed bird. Lick my lips.
Finally, of course, the big one, global warming. First of all, if you're worried about the iceberg that broke free from the steadily melting South Pole this week, that's dealt with here. It's simply on a promotional tour for the film Titanic. Now, if all else fails, and it probably will, then don't worry. They've printed this on the back of the card. Now, in the unlikely event of a total failure of the world, the emergency exits are located here and here. That's at Houston and the French Pacific territories where they test-fire the Ariane rocket. I'd go to Houston if I were you.
And in the event of a rise in sea level, life jackets are situated under the seats of planes.
Ladies, please remember to remove high heels, otherwise your ankles will get caught in Chad.
Let's have a quick look at some drawings by Christian, the Millennium Boy from Islington. And he's been designing some things for the royal family. He's a bit concerned about their privacy, so he's done this lovely Buckingham Palace, but made into a tree house.
It just simply shows, I don't know if you can see that, the Queen Mother on a jetpack. Look at that. She's got a bottle of gin there. I think that's when she gets above 100 feet, she just swigs that and then just lights her farts. It just keeps shooting up.
But the biggest modern development is that the Queen has launched her own internet site this week. It's the Buckingham Palace website. There it is. Now, it looks very sombre and regal and everything from the outside, but the Queen has tried to copy that Jenny cam. I don't know if you've seen it, that woman in America who agreed to have a camera in her bedroom. So if we just click on this one that says Queen Cam, we'll get through to the house. Now, there she is in the antechamber, and there we go. We are through to the Queen's toilet! There she goes.
That's how they're reading What Country magazine.
It's only meaning to logging on, really.
Actually, the Queen has been stung with a massive tax bill and a £100 fine because she didn't fill a self-assessment form in time. Because she finds it very difficult to talk about personal things. But it was noticed at the last Monday Money service, where she normally hands out bags of cash to old people. But this time, look, she's taking the money off them. Look at this. Here we go, into her pocket. Thank you, Krusty. I'll have that. Thank you. What a tight Queen.
But you've got to hand it to Prince Charles, though. I mean, he's made a spectacular comeback in people's affections since, you know. But he wants to be even more popular, which is why, from now on, he's only ever going to be seen like this. Here he is. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for coming on. He'll only be seen schmoozing with the Spice Girls whilst hugging Prince Harry as if he loved him like a father, whilst playing the drums in an endearingly shite way, wearing a garland, and we've got a few new touches to make him even more popular. He'll be wearing a Richard Branson beard, there'll be an onion to make him cry in public, and he'll be conducting a rolling refusal to knight Arthur C. Clarke.
Still there.
Let's have a look at the approval rating. Cry a bit, cry a bit.
Cry a bit.
Going up. Yes, Harry. Yes, there you are. You, sir, will be the most popular monarch since King Creole. Well done, sir.
Marvellous. Keep crying. Okay, that's all for this week. Just time to see the latest plans for the Millennium celebrations. Up to 500,000 people will gather in Greenwich at the stroke of midnight to watch a giant computer crash. There we go. So, start saving for a babysitter now. Good night.